So Danger Productions is back with a revisiting of the Michael Jordan and LeBron James debate. You know we gotta react to it, right? Let's do it. Okay, reactors, welcome back to the channel, the Nuclear Reactor, the reaction channel where all the reactions go nuclear. This is going to be my first sports reaction on this channel because I want to react to all forms of media. And Danger Production did one of the best Michael Jordan and LeBron James comparisons. It was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and he hasn't been heard of since. Well, my guy is back to revisit the Jordan and Michael Jordan debate now. We're going to check out his analysis, and before we get into this video, I would love you guys to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you could be notified for every time I upload. Yo, let's check out what Danger got to say, shall we? This should be good.
And that's it. Clock will tick. Minnesota is going to win this series and knock out the Lakers. The 3 seed, 4 games to 1.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Letdown.
The 2025 season for the Los Angeles Lakers was so unbelievable that it played like a Shakespearean drama. One filled with ups and downs, villains and heroes, and an ending that was both shocking and not shocking at all. But to really understand the Lakers season, we have to rewind a bit to February 2nd, 2025.
A date which will live
in infamy.
That's the day the Lakers pulled off one of the greatest heists in modern sports history.
You ain't lying. I don't know
as
how
they
they got
acquired
Luka.
Luka Doncic for 7 first-round draft picks. Wait, no, that's not right. For Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, and 4 first-round draft picks. Actually, that's not it either. For Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and 1 first-round draft pick.
You serious?
Look,
Anthony Davis and Luka are always hurt. I'm not sure. I would say Luka is an outright better player than Anthony Davis. He's more available than he is most times. But this trade was surreal to me. I did not believe it was real when it first happened. And yeah, it's just surreal to me. I don't know why Dallas would trade Luka. It's insane.
You serious?
Look, I'm still struggling to understand it myself. Best as we can tell, the Mavs traded Luka because he was, well, a little fat, and he drank too much beer. You know, basically the same reasons Babe Ruth was traded to the Yankees in 1920, and we all know how that one turned out. Don't get me wrong, when healthy, Anthony Davis is still a great player. But that caveat, when healthy, applies more to AD than just about any other player in NBA history. You're talking about a 32-year-old who's missed 135 games over the past 5 years, who was injured at the time of the trade, and in his very 5 games over the past 5 years. You're talking about a 32-year-old who's missed 135 games over the past 5 years, who was injured at the time of the trade, and in his very first game with the Mavs got injured again. Heck, this motherfucker's injury problem was so bad that it turned out to be contagious. Meanwhile, the player that Dallas traded away was a 25-year-old, once-in-a-generation superstar who literally just led the team to the NBA Finals the prior season. Sure, he doesn't play a lick of defense, but he also nearly averages a 30-point triple-double. And now
he doesn't play defense. LeBron doesn't really play defense either, which is another thing that struck me as weird, because Anthony Davis, he does play defense, but again, he's hardly available. But to have 2 of these guys on the same team that really don't play a lot of defense, that makes a liability for your other 3 players on the floor. That is never going to win a championship. I just don't see that happening. But hey,
tie to LeBron James, pairing two of the best playmakers in NBA history.
You son of a bitch.
Yo, the Predator.
And let's not forget Austin Reeves, who's merely the third option on the Lakers, but on just about any other team would average 25, 6, and 6.
What?
Jesus, Nico, you really couldn't get them to throw Reeves into the trade? Needless to say, the expectations were sky high for LA following the trade. And it didn't take long for their promise to become reality, as a
come
quick
on, step
8-game
back.
win streak vaulted them up the standings
That Luka step
before they
back is
ultimately
crazy.
settled into the third seed in the Western Conference. And that seemed to be a fortuitous position, as it allowed them to avoid the side of
Luka
the West
reminds me of
bracket
James
that
Harden
included
a
the
little bit when he
68-win
was younger.
Thunder, Nikola Jokic's Nuggets, and the scorching hot Clippers. That said, their first round opponent, the Minnesota Timberwolves, were no slouch. But the Wolves were coming off a somewhat disappointing regular season.
Yeah.
Vegas installed the Lakers as 2-1 favorites to win the series. And seemingly every expert agreed that LA would have no problem advancing to the second round of the playoffs.
I think the Lakers win. I actually have them winning in 5.
I think the Lakers are going to beat him in 5.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
So what you think about that Lakers?
But, as they say, games aren't won on paper. And when they did play the games, the Lakers did not win in 5.
No.
Not 5, not 6, not 7.
As a matter of fact, it was the Wolves who won in 5, pulling off the major upset. Now, I'm not going to delve into the X's and O's of this series. I'll leave that to the basketball nerds like Zach Lowe and Ryan Russillo, and whoever the hell this guy is. No, seriously, who the f*** is this guy? That said, if you ask me, the Lakers' loss comes down to 2 words: LeBron James. To be honest, neither LeBron nor Luka played particularly well in the series. But following a season-long trend, the Lakers seemed to play some of their worst basketball when LeBron James was on the floor.
Damn.
Against the Wolves, this was especially the case in the fourth quarter. In his 54 fourth-quarter minutes, LeBron hit just 9 of 27 shots, and the Lakers were outscored by a whopping 40 points.
That's terrible.
Now cue the LeBron sycophants who will say,
What did you expect? He's 40 years old.
"Oh, I don't know. Maybe I expected him to be as good as you told me he was."
Straight up. Yo, I watch LeBron, like, apologists say stuff like LeBron's going to win a championship or blah, blah. Every time LeBron gets a trade, the Lakers going to get a championship. Whenever LeBron team come up short, his teammates aren't good. But when they get the trades, they're going to win a championship. Also, I never expect LeBron to go to the championship or win the championship because I know LeBron ain't built like that. LeBron doesn't make his teammates better. He usually just goes and builds super teams and still gets butchered most of the time. But right when he loses, those same people that predict that he's going to win a championship then says, what do y'all expect? Y'all expect LeBron's the only player y'all expect to do to win a championship. No, I never expect that. Y'all do. LeBron ain't like that. He never been like that.
Him to be as good as you told me he was. I mean, we've been bombarded all season about how LeBron was still a top 10 player, that he's the greatest 40-year-old to ever play, that he's the oldest player to record a triple-double, the oldest
Nice
to ever
pass.
win Player of the Month, the oldest to ever flop like he got shot by a sniper. And now we can add one more to the list. The oldest player to ever shit the bed in the playoffs. And whether you're a LeBron stan or a LeBron hater, it's an undeniable truth that the end of this season for the Lakers was a
Danger
major
Productions is
disappointment.
different than his
And let me be
comeback.
clear what I mean by that. I don't mean disappointment in the colloquial sense. I mean, sure, we're all disappointed when our favorite team loses its last game of the season, whether that's in the first round or the last.
Oh,
No, what I mean by disappointment
It ain't that
is the
serious,
classic
bruh.
dictionary definition of the term, with a focus on these words: failure to meet expectations. That's exactly what the Lakers did.
He don't
Remember,
fail to meet my
they were
expectations.
2-1
I do not
favorites to
expect
beat the
much from
Wolves,
LeBron.
and going into the playoffs, they had the 4th best title odds of any team in the entire league. Yet here they are, after one round, watching the rest of the playoffs from their couch. And meanwhile, the pundits are left scratching their heads trying to find excuses for another LeBron letdown. But here's the more interesting point that you won't hear from the mainstream sports media. These late-season letdowns by LeBron are actually not that uncommon.
They're not.
I mean, sure, We know about the disastrous 2011 finals against the Mavs. That was such a catastrophic failure that even the shills on Clutch Sports' payroll couldn't sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, there have actually been 5 times that LeBron has lost a playoff series as a favorite. And in each of those cases, his team was not just a favorite, but a substantial favorite.
Damn.
And peppered within those 5 occasions are also 2 seasons in which LeBron's team went into the year as a top 5 title contender, yet failed to make the playoffs entirely.
Straight up.
By my count, that's a total of 7 seasons in which LeBron's team finished well below expectations. 7 seasons that ended in a huge letdown. And even in a 22-year career, that's a lot. It means 1 in every 3 seasons ending in epic disaster. Now, is LeBron James 100% responsible for all of these failures?
No, of course not.
Of course not.
Come on.
But as the team leader, he gets the lion's share of the praise
Exactly.
when things go right. So it's only appropriate that he should get a fair share of the blame when things go wrong.
Exactly.
Now, given that LeBron's career has lasted so long, many of you may not remember a lot of the letdowns on this list. So it's probably a good idea to do a quick recap to refresh your memories.
Oh shit, you gonna go all up?
The first of LeBron's letdowns came in 2009, when his Cleveland Cavaliers lost.
Wait, before he starts, 2007 was a letdown. That Cleveland team was not as bad as media tried to make it seem. They were a great defensive team. When they got in the playoffs, they were the #1 defensive team. This notion that LeBron was too young for the big stage is nonsense. Just the series before, he went nuclear against the Pistons. He wasn't too young a couple of weeks before. Come on, man. All of those games except one was close, and the only difference in the play of every player was that LeBron choked in that series. He choked. So it's just ridiculous. That was just the first sign that LeBron was not built like that. And LeBron, when he choked against the Celtics and ran to Dwayne Wade, who was already a champ and a scoring champ and a Finals MVP and a world champion, and got Chris Bosh, who was a #1 option, top 11 player, he had realized that he wasn't built like that. So he got to run to players that help try to get him easy championships. That's all that happened. In 2007, I will say LeBron did a great job leading his team to the finals. He didn't carry anyone anywhere. I don't believe any player carries a team anywhere. But after that, when LeBron got in the finals, his heart couldn't take it. He's not built like that.
LeBron's letdowns came in 2009, when his Cleveland Cavaliers lost to Dwight Howard's Orlando Magic in the Eastern Conference Finals. Of LeBron's 7 letdowns, this is the one where he deserves the least culpability, because overall, he played pretty well in this series, even hitting a buzzer beater to win Game 2. But it's also a series that LeBron's team undeniably should have won. After all, they had secured home court advantage throughout the playoffs after winning 66 games that year, and Orlando was without its second-best player, All-Star Jameer Nelson. While LeBron generally put up good numbers in the series, he also struggled down the stretch of a few of the games. In the fourth quarter and overtime of the final 3 losses, LeBron shot just 38% from the field, 25% from beyond the arc, and 65% from the line. This to go along with 9 turnovers. If he had played just a little bit better at the end of those games, perhaps the Cavs advanced, and we wind up with a dream matchup between LeBron and Kobe in the finals. And heck, maybe LeBron doesn't go to Miami to start the super team era, and Cleveland becomes the next dynasty, and the history of basketball for the last decade and a half is completely rewritten. But alas, it wasn't to be. As in LeBron's own words.
I fucked up one time in 09 and then beat Orlando.
Preach, brother. Preach. But as I said, the failure in 09 was actually the mildest of LeBron's season-ending letdowns. Letdown number 2 came the very next season, as LeBron's Cavs once again had home court advantage throughout the playoffs. This time, in the second round, they would face the Boston Celtics, an aging team that started the year fast but played just .500 ball the last 54 games of the regular season. The 2 teams would split the first 4 games of the series, with the critical Game 5 to be played in Cleveland. This was the perfect opportunity for LeBron James to showcase why he was the league's back-to-back reigning MVP. And he certainly gave us a performance for the ages, just not in the way you'd expect. James scored just 15 points on 3 of 14 shooting from the field, as the Cavs would get clobbered in their own building by 32 points. In fact, LeBron's play was so apathetic that the media, the fans, and the team's owner would accuse him of quitting on his team. Needless to say, the series loss, punctuated by that Game 5 debacle, would ultimately go down as a shameful moment in Cleveland sports history. Except for Delonte West, who seemed oddly upbeat after the series, but I digress.
Yo, bruh. Why did... Yo, that is wrong.
West, who seemed oddly upbeat after the series, but I digress.
Oh, shit.
Letdown number 3 takes us to Miami, where in 2011 LeBron joined fellow league stars Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh to form a super team. In their first year together, the star trio made it all the way to the NBA Finals, where they would face an aging Dallas Mavericks team, led by Dirk Nowitzki. The Heat jumped out to a 2-1 series advantage and had a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter of Game 4. But they epically coughed up the game and the series. The main reason for the defeat? LeBron James, who averaged less than 18 points in the series, including an 8-point dud in that pivotal Game 4. Not only was LeBron outplayed in the series by his teammates, Wade and Bosh, but he was also outplayed by the Mavs role player, Jason Terry.
Seriously?
In fact, LeBron's performance was so embarrassingly bad, even his biggest acolytes say this.
The 2011 Finals is, and I will admit this,
Nick wrong.
It is a meltdown. It is a giant blemish on the resume.
Of course, they'll also have you believe that this was the last bad moment of LeBron's entire career.
But wait, there's more!
On to meltdown number 4. And for this one, we jump to the 2018-19 season, LeBron's first as a Laker. That year, LeBron joined an upstart Laker team flush with young talent, like Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Kyle Kuzma, Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, Ivica.
All of these studs. He had Julius Randle at one point. He got all of these studs who are balling now, traded. Yo, LeBron does not make his teammates better. He just trades them and tries to get perennial all-stars 2 at a time on his team. And he still can barely get it done. It's crazy how little LeBron did with so much.
Ball, Alex Caruso, Ivica Zubac. Jesus Christ, this team was loaded. They were a team that had won 35 games the prior season, and now they were adding LeBron James, along with Rajon Rondo and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
Damn!
You would think with all that talent, and a player like LeBron who could be the proverbial tide to rise all ships, the Lakers could add another 20 wins to the win column.
Yeah, right.
Which explains why the Lakers had the 4th best title odds of any team heading into the regular season. So how many additional wins did LeBron add to the team? 2, for a grand total of 37 wins.
You cannot be serious!
I'm quite serious, John. Although, to be fair, LeBron did miss a third of the season
he got
to
hurt,
injury.
but he still wasn't. Yeah.
Even in the 2/3 of the games he played,
When he came back from injury, he said he was activating his playoff intensity early, and they went on to lose more games than they won. It was like 12 and 14. It was just terrible. Just awful.
even in the 2/3 of the games he played, the Lakers were barely a 500 team. So no matter how you slice it, the season was an abject failure. Now we move to letdown number 5. And this one comes fresh off the heels of the Lakers' 2020 championship in the bubble. You know, the championship that was supposedly the hardest ever because the players were forced to spend 2 months in a 5-star resort with nothing to do but shoot hoops, play video games, get massages, go fishing, hang out at the pool, hit the greens, and hit the greens. And all this without having their wife and kids around. So basically every guy's dream vacation. So as the defending champs, what did the Lakers do for an encore? How about a first-round playoff exit at the hands of the Phoenix Suns? This, despite going into the playoffs as the betting favorites to win the West, and nearly a 2-1 favorite to beat the inexperienced Suns in round 1.
Yeah, this is the series when Anthony Davis got hurt, because he always get hurt, and LeBron literally quit the last 2.5 games. The next game he had like 29 points, but he quit. He wasn't playing defense. He was barely getting back. Those points he was getting largely because the NBA is soft as fuck right now. You know what I'm saying? And LeBron's a bulldozer, and LeBron gets chippy, easy points. But he quit. He was not interested in playing, but this is the guy who makes all his teammates better and can drag teams to the finals by himself. It's just shameful that the media covers this stuff up. Like he quit in 2018 finals at the game 1. It's just insane.
A 2-1 favorite to beat the inexperienced Suns in round 1. Those odds jumped exponentially after the Lakers won 2 of the first 3 games in the series. But behind a subpar performance from LeBron James, the Lakers would go on to lose the next 3 games, and they would find themselves taking an unexpected early trip to Cancun. Of course, LeBron fans would tell you that the sole reason the Lakers were defeated was because of an injury that kept Anthony Davis out of the final 2 games.
That's why LeBron
Although that wasn't exactly the prevailing sentiment at the time.
Well, what if Anthony Davis doesn't return for Game 6 at the Staples Center?
Lakers will win either Game 5 or Game 6.
I don't think they need Anthony Davis to beat the Suns.
We know the Lakers can get through this series with just LeBron James.
Who embraces pressure? LeBron James. The Lakers are going to win Game 5 and 6, and Phoenix carry the hell on.
Delusional.
Yikes. Regardless of spin, what cannot be denied is that the Lakers' disappointing finish in 2021 only emboldened critics who viewed their bubble championship as a fluke.
It's going to have a big asterisk on the bottom, and it's going to say COVID championship. Okay.
And that brings us to letdown number 6, the 2021-22 season, in which the Lakers entered the regular season as overwhelming favorites to win the West. After all, they had assembled a kinda, sorta,
the same
super
energy team?
I mean, sure, we all look back at the LeBron James-Russell Westbrook pairing as a complete mess. But I think people forget just how productive Russ was before joining the Lakers. Russ.
He was coming off 4 straight seasons averaging the triple-double. And the LeBron stands were saying they're going to win the championship. LeBron makes his teammates worse most of the time. And Westbrook became a scapegoat. Every time he didn't play with LeBron, he balled out. But when he played with LeBron, he looked awful. LeBron averages just about as many, if not more, turnovers as Westbrook. They wouldn't talk about LeBron turnovers, though. They would talk about Westbrook's. Come on, bro.
How productive Russ was before joining the Lakers. Russ was coming off a season where he put up 23, 13, and 13 the second half of the year. And he was joining a team that already had 2 top 10 players in LeBron and AD. And not only did they fail to win the West, they didn't even make it to the playoffs. Heck, they didn't even make it to the play-in tournament. Sure, they did deal with some injuries, but even in the games that their star trio all played, they were merely a 500 team. And in the 56 games that LeBron played, they were 5 games under 500. And I find it silly to use injuries as an excuse, considering that there were a number of teams in the conference that had even worse injury issues and fared just fine. The Nuggets were without Jamal Murray the entire season and won 15 more games than the Lakers. The Clippers were without Kawhi Leonard the entire season and won 9 more games than the Lakers. The Pelicans were without Zion the whole year, and without their top scorer C.J. McCollum for 2/3 of the season, and even they finished with a better record than the Lakers. Heck, the Spurs played the entire season with a roster of a bunch of cast-offs from the local YMCA, and even they won more games than the Lakers.
Stop it.
The bottom line is that, with all their talent and all their expectations, the fact that the Lakers failed to even reach the 10 seed is one of the biggest failures in modern NBA history.
Just an absolute, unacceptable, unforgivable screw-up of a year.
And that finally brings us to letdown number 7. And there's really not much else to say about this one. The pundits were over the moon about the LeBron-Luka pairing.
I said yesterday I think the Lakers are winning the West, and I feel good about that.
Oh! Lakers are winning the title, my friend!
Needless to say, the expectations were through the roof. But the results were in the basement, as the Lakers' playoff run lasted a mere 5 games. LeBron's response to the loss?
You know, I don't lose sleep over that. Like, how did me and Luka lose? Right, well, yeah. Well, there's 8 other guys on the floor.
Whenever LeBron loses, he blames his teammates. But remember, that right there made me the greatest in 2016. Why don't you give your teammates the credit when you win? Like, he is so LeBron.
Like, well, yeah. Well, there's 8 other guys on the floor.
What?
there's 8 other guys on the floor.
Sure. LeBron and Luka closed each contest worse than a white guy running track. But let's blame the loss on the 8 role players. I mean, you'd expect a smidge more accountability from a guy whose team embarrassingly got knocked out in the first round.
Right.
I know. LeBron fans will tell me.
But Michael Jordan lost in the first round 3 times.
You're right. But there's a massive difference between losing in the first round.
Yes. Yes, he's right. Every NBA player, no matter how great they are, had failures and successes. This is the difference between the Michael Jordan and LeBron James debate. To get LeBron close to Jordan, he can never get over him, but to get him close to Jordan, you have to make all these excuses as to why LeBron failed so much. Yes, he succeeded some, but he failed so much. So you need all these excuses to get him near Jordan. And to get Jordan somewhat down on LeBron, you need all these excuses as to why Jordan succeeded so much. Yes, he failed some, but he succeeded way more. So you got to say stuff like LeBron James' teammates was trash and his opponents were superhuman. Jordan teammates were superhuman, but his opponents was trash. And this era, the competition is better. That would mean LeBron teammates are better too. They're in this era too. And all you're really saying is LeBron can't beat great competition and Jordan beat great competition. So LeBron James is a fraud. Like, he's just not that dude. He never has been, but the media has successfully brainwashed people to believe things that are not even close to reality. Michael Jordan is by far the GOAT in the NBA. It's not close.
You're right. But there's a massive difference between losing in the first round as a 10-1 underdog with Charles Oakley as your second best player versus losing in the first round as a 2-1 favorite with Luka Doncic as your co-star. It's all about expectations. And objectively speaking, LeBron's teams fell woefully short of expectations in each of these 7 seasons. Now, you might think I'm being a little hard on LeBron, but keep in mind that I'm using the same logic that his own fans use when defending his poor finals record. When you point out that LeBron is a measly 4-6 in the finals, the response from LeBron fans is always,
"That's not fair. Of course LeBron has a losing finals record. He was the underdog in most of those finals."
And you know what? They're right. LeBron should not be crucified for losing to the Spurs in the 2007 finals.
The hell he should.
Nor should he be criticized for losing to the Kevin Durant-led Warriors in 2017 and 2018.
LeBron started this super team stuff.
I'll even give him a pass for getting boat raced by the Spurs in the 2014 finals, in a series that was widely expected to be a toss-up, but which LeBron's Heat lost in historically lopsided fashion.
That Heat team was a super team in 2014 against an old Spurs team. They should have beat the Spurs. Instead, they got beat by the largest margin of defeat in NBA history. Nah, bruh, he don't get no passes for these. If he is supposed to be the GOAT, he's supposed to overcome these challenges. Stop it. Or some of them, but LeBron can't overcome these challenges. The only time he ever did it was 2016, and I give him credit for that because he gets a lot of credit for winning that championship. But he gets credit for all the catastrophic choke jobs he has made in his career,
which LeBron's Heat lost in historically lopsided fashion. In each of the series I just mentioned, LeBron's team was an underdog, and he was therefore not expected to win. But if we're going to give him a pass for losing as an underdog, then it's only fair that we hold him to account for losing as a huge favorite, or for missing the playoffs in seasons where he had no business missing the playoffs. And these disappointing finishes have happened in 7 of his 22 seasons, 1 in every 3 seasons. So the burning question is, how does this affect his legacy? And on a macro level, the answer is not very much. Despite all the season-ending letdowns, he is still arguably one of the greatest players to ever play the game.
That was nice.
But when we talk about LeBron's legacy, what we're really asking is, how does he stack up against Michael Jordan? And that's where he falls short.
Way short.
I don't mean that he falls short in the sense that Michael has better advanced stats and more individual.
You know what's crazy about these advanced stats? All the advanced stats that Jordan is number 2 all time in, it's Joker that just passed him. Yo, Joker crazy.
He falls short in the sense that Michael has better advanced stats and more individual accolades and is a more consistent defender and a superior shooter in the clutch and has fewer weaknesses and has more championships despite playing less seasons. I mean, sure, there's all that. But specifically, despite Plender and a superior, better advanced stats, where he falls short. I don't mean that he falls short in the sense that Michael has better advanced stats and more individual accolades and is a more consistent defender and a superior shooter in the clutch and has fewer weaknesses and has more championships despite playing less seasons.
I mean, there's that.
I mean, sure, there's all that. But specifically in terms of major letdowns, Michael just didn't have them. In his entire 15-year career, only one time did a Michael Jordan-led team finish below expectations. And that was in 1995, the year Jordan returned from his first retirement, when his Bulls lost in the second round of the playoffs to the Orlando Magic.
But what about those first-round exits early in Jordan's career?
As we previously mentioned, Jordan was a massive underdog each time he lost in the first round.
What about all those years he lost to the bad boy Pistons?
Similarly, Jordan was a substantial underdog each of the 3 years the Pistons knocked him out.
What about when Jordan missed the playoffs with the Wizards?
In both years that Jordan was with the Wizards, Vegas picked them to finish 9th in their conference. And in both years, that's exactly where they finished. No, the only true letdown of Jordan's career was losing to the Magic in the 95 playoffs in a series the Bulls were favored to win. Although in retrospect, one could question whether the Bulls should have been favored.
I'm not sure why.
After all, the Magic had the best duo in the league in Shaq and Penny. And they also had home court advantage at a place where they only lost 2 games all year. And, as we all know, Jordan only played the final fifth of the season. But as you probably figured out by now, I'm not a fan of making excuses. The bottom line is that the Bulls were favored to beat the Magic in 95. And they did lose. And a big reason for that loss was that in critical moments of the series, Jordan was not the best version of himself. And that remains the sole letdown of Jordan's entire career. And a pretty mild letdown at that, especially when compared to the 7 letdowns in LeBron's career. Remember, the least catastrophic of LeBron's letdowns was his 2009 loss to the Orlando Magic. And even that loss was worse than Jordan's loss in 95. For one, LeBron's team was a much bigger favorite. Secondly, the Orlando team that LeBron faced was far inferior to the Orlando team that Jordan faced. And thirdly, LeBron had home court advantage in this series, whereas Jordan did not. Come to think of it, do you want to know how many times Michael Jordan lost a playoff series with home court advantage? 0. Zilch.
Out of how many
Nada.
times?
He was a perfect 24-0. Compare that to LeBron, who has lost a series with home court advantage 4 different times. So let's review the tale of the tape, shall we? 5 times LeBron has lost a playoff series that his team was favored to win. Something that happened to Jordan only once. 4 times LeBron lost a playoff series with home court advantage. Something that Jordan never did. 5 times LeBron's team has been ahead in a series only to ultimately lose.
Damn.
Something Jordan did only one time. And that was as a 6-1 underdog. And twice, LeBron missed the playoffs entirely in a year where his team was among the preseason favorites to win the title. Jordan, meanwhile, never missed the playoffs while playing with an actual contender. And these numbers all speak to one very important thing: dependability. Look, no one is going to win the championship every single year. Dependability. Look, no one is going to win the championship every single year.
Straight up.
Jordan had 9 seasons that he didn't win a title.
Yep.
And LeBron has had 18 seasons where he didn't win a title.
18?
But importantly, do you at least make the playoffs when you're supposed to make the playoffs?
Come on, bro.
And when you get to the playoffs, do you at least beat the teams you're supposed to beat? For one of these guys, the answer is clearly yes. For the other guy, the answer is usually, maybe, sometimes. And frankly, this is an underrated aspect of the GOAT conversation. Everyone wants to focus on championships. I get it. Michael has 6 championships compared to LeBron's 4, which is even more impressive when you consider that Michael has played 7 fewer seasons. But what's even more remarkable is that he was able to attain all those championships without a major misstep. I mean, sure, he took his lumps along the way and had to overcome hurdles like the bad boy Pistons. But he never had any moments that left us scratching our heads thinking,
how in the world did he lose to that team?
And when I look at this graphic, it tells me 2 critical things. First, when it mattered the most, Jordan was the more likely player to deliver the goods. And second, when it mattered the most, he was also the far less likely player to shit the bed. And in the results-based world of sports, nothing could be more important. Now, Is that the only reason Michael Jordan is a superior player to LeBron James? No. There are at least a dozen other reasons, some of which I mentioned in a video I made 5 years ago, titled Jordan vs. LeBron, the best GOAT comparison, a video that has generated nearly 5 million views. But who's counting? But while the talking heads debate this topic ad nauseum, there's not a lot of focus on letdowns, so I figured it deserved its own video. And there's one other reason why I think these season-ending disappointments are so important to the GOAT conversation. It's because they can't be erased.
No.
They cannot be wiped from our memory.
No.
These failures are forever stains on a person's resume. And that doesn't just apply to basketball. As anyone who works for a living can tell you, you could be great at 95% of your job, but if you fuck up a major project, your boss will always remember it. Now imagine if you fucked up 7 major projects, or you fucked up a project every 3 years. You think you'd still have a job? You certainly wouldn't be winning any awards for greatest employee of all time. Not when the guy you're competing against is just as good as you, but without the screw-ups. Now I'm fairly confident that after watching this video, there will be a handful of people in the comments section who will say,
"You're being ridiculous. You're criticizing a 40-year-old LeBron for losing in the first round. But when Jordan was 40, he didn't even make the playoffs."
And if you are saying that, well, you clearly missed the point of the entire video. So I recommend you watch it again.
Right,
as for the rest of you, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. And click the bell to get notified of new videos. But to address your point, yes, Jordan missed the playoffs when he was 40. But as previously noted, he wasn't expected to make the playoffs. And if you look at his team's roster, it's not hard to see why. By far, his best teammate was a one-dimensional, inefficient Jerry Stackhouse.
Was nice.
And as to the other guys pictured here, most NBA fans wouldn't be able to pick them out of the lineup. Now imagine, instead of Jerry Stackhouse, Jordan was paired with a prime Luka Doncic. Would we still be questioning whether this team makes the playoffs?
No.
And what if instead of 13-point scorer Larry Hughes, they had 20-point scorer Austin Reeves? And instead of a past his prime Christian Laettner, they had a young Rui Hachimura? And instead of all-time bust Kwame Brown, they had the versatile Dorian Finney-Smith. Now, we're no longer asking whether that team makes the playoffs. We're asking how deep a playoff run they make. And somehow, this exact team, except with LeBron James as their leader, got knocked out of the first round by an opponent nearly everyone expected them to beat.
Yo.
And this type of thing has happened over and over and over in LeBron's career.
Yep.
And there is one word that best describes that.
Let down. Yo, that video did not disappoint. Damn, he's been gone for 5 years, but he's back. Danger Productions, it did not disappoint. Yes, LeBron's a fraud. He is not what the media made him out to be. I barely have LeBron in my top 10 because LeBron's a fraud. He's not like that. He's never been that dude. And I know his apologists or his fans, you know, they believe all these insane narratives about LeBron, and they are not true. LeBron doesn't make his teammates better. He just trades them and gets 2 superstars to play with to get to the finals in the weak East and still get butchered. That's what he does. He does have the bubble championship. I count it as a championship. They played a weak opponent in that finals, but you don't get to the finals without being good enough to get to the finals. And Jimmy Butler is a great player. But LeBron James is not like that. So he has 4 championships in 22 seasons. But he's supposed to be the GOAT. He's not close to being the GOAT. He barely plays defense, and he's barely played defense since 2014. LeBron is not that dude. He never been that dude. But I'm going to do some more sports reactions because I love sports. I don't particularly like today's NBA that much, but the playoffs right now, they've been pretty good. But anyway, my reactors, that's the video for today. If y'all have any suggestions for any other sports content or anything else y'all want me to react to, drop it down below. As always, pleasure, all mine, reaction, that's yours. I love you.